Welcome on in to another edition of Smart Chat here on YouTube.com. I just want to give you some of my raw thoughts from April the 3rd, the Raw after WrestleMania. And, these thoughts are in no particular order. Just going to go through some things that stuck out in my mind. There could have been many opens to the show. But the opening segment was Roman Reigns. And I'm a Roman Reigns supporter, as I've said time before. I don't understand the fans sometimes. I mean, this guy did come up through a system. He paid his dues. He's worked hard as well. Nothing seems to be given. Just seems that the fans, when they don't like someone, they make it known and they think that he shouldn't be the one just because they don't like him. But in actuality, he, deserves it just as much as anyone else that's been, he's worked his way, been in developmental. When you think back to, I think the fans, they think kind of, once they realize what happened with the Daniel Bryan storyline, where WWE's hand was pretty much forced and they had to give Daniel Bryan that title, they think that they could do the same with force WWE's hands, and in this case, Roman Reigns not getting to the top. So he comes out there and, booed and booed mercifully, without any mercy. And all that he said, which was brilliant, "This is my yard," and left. He was looking at the palm of his hand. A lot of, I think message boards were saying that, he forgot his lines or something. Now, if you look at it, he was saying, "I got them in the palm of my hands." Listen, I think the WWE knows that this is a different type of show, Raw after WrestleMania. It's fans that are all in that audience that are 100% diehard fans. Diehard. Where on any given Raw, you might not have the diehard fan like you do the Raw after WrestleMania. If the fans continue to do what they did at this Raw in regards to Roman Reigns, which we know won't be the case, then WWE maybe might force, their hand might be forced. But we know that this is just a one-time thing. The booing will be very less next week. The point I'm trying to make is that fans, you don't have this reaction week in and week out like you do for Roman Reigns. You have your boos and you have your cheers. So I don't think after one Raw like this, where WWE knows that it's a different type of crowd, that they're going to change their mind on Roman Reigns. And boy, do we know that the crowd does not like Roman Reigns. Look in that segment with Brock Lesnar, and I made a video that kind of seen it coming a mile away. That will be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. That's where they're going. And when Paul Heyman was introducing that feud, the new storyline, people were chanting Finn Balor, Finn Balor, Finn Balor. Listen, again, I'll say it once, I've said it again, I have no problem with Roman Reigns. He worked his way just as much as everyone else did. If you don't like something, there are many other things to get vested in on a wrestling show. I get the sometimes this crowd likes to hijack the Raw, Raw after WrestleMania. They like to hijack the show. All right, I get it to a point, but chanting F-bombs, guys, I mean, come on. This is an actor playing a part. Please, that's a little bit too much. I mean, 30-year-old, 40-year-old fans, 50-year-old fans chanting F you Roman. Come on, a little bit too much for me. Nia Jax, man, from I don't know what it is with Nia Jax. It's a combination of things, maybe the theme that she comes out to. She really doesn't portray a monster. That interaction that you've seen where she knocks Charlotte on her behind at the end of the match is Nia Jax becoming a face. I think maybe that's a little bit more believable. I don't think anyone believes her being a monster just by her theme, how she looks, she smiles, she's not that intimidating. It just hasn't come across as her being intimidating really at all, as hard as they tried. I say that because Nia Jax really doesn't get a reaction. Changing her into a face, I think, might help, and I think we've seen that on Raw this past week. Man, is the common consensus here that everyone is starting to hate Enzo and Big Cass. Maybe not Cass, but definitely Enzo. You see when he got his head knocked off almost again, how the fans react and cheered. And this has been a couple of weeks already. I think people are getting sick and tired of Enzo. They just love to see Enzo being knocked around. Man, did you check out that reaction that you seen this when they were facing Cesaro and Sheamus? You have the Hardy Boys come back. They defeat Gallows and Anderson. Feel kind of bad for Gallows and Anderson. As soon as they seemed like starting getting a little bit momentum, kind of found their way, they lose the title to the Hardys. And the Hardys, more so Matt than Jeff. Whenever Matt comes in, this guy's going to get a reaction like he never left. Jeff, I think, definitely has worked his way into getting a guaranteed reaction no matter when he comes and goes. You know, they're still a marquee name after all these years. It's just like they haven't left. Now, do I think they'll have that broken gimmick? Just looking at WrestleMania and this past Raw, not 100% fully. I don't think WWE wants to get involved in this web here. But you did see, they did pan to delete posters, broken posters. Matt was doing the delete gestures, and the crowd was saying it. So I think they'll keep certain elements of it. I just don't think they will be at 100% doing a broken character. WWE has made it, a point to call them the Hardy Boys, Team Extreme. I mean, they did do an interview or two since backstage, and Jeff was talking in his normal voice, so you might see the broken gimmick, but a watered down version of it, where basically, they are acknowledging it, but not fully. leave the crowd to do the broken chants or whatever it may be. So I just don't see the gimmick of Broken coming back at 100%. Braun Strowman, it's funny. He just seems to do a 180 every other week here. First he says, this crowd wants me to beat you up, and I'm going to beat you up. Then he says, I'm going to do things on my own terms. And, this week, again, it's the same thing where he backs down, where he does it on his own terms. He's saying he's going to do it at his own terms when he takes care of Roman Reigns. The crowd wants him to go after it, and it seems like he's going against it. I don't know what they're doing week in and week out with Strowman there. Storyline stupidity, something that doesn't make sense to me. How WrestleMania do you have an unsanctioned match because you're too much of an injury risk? And then on Raw, Seth Rollins is involved in a sanctioned match. Did he miraculously recover 100% all of a sudden after WrestleMania, after the beating that he took? The Revival, you've seen the tag team come in. And man, this team is a throwback to a punch 'em, I'm going to kick your ass team. Impact move, intensity moves. Kind of reminds me of, I don't know, if I were to give you a team, maybe Arn Anderson, combination of Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard type of tag team that just Impact. It's just it gives a vibe of an old school tag team. The thing I question here is there's so many tag teams on Raw. Why wouldn't they make their debut on SmackDown, being that the SmackDown tag team division is lacking? It's lacking. I just hope that they don't get lost in the shuffle. Speaking of SmackDown, Vince McMahon made his appearance, and he's saying that the rosters will be shaken up. So you expect some trades or some movement going from wrestlers to Raw and SmackDown, vice versa. I don't think it will be a huge number. I think it will be, maybe like 5 or 6. Now, who would go? Who would you make the trade for? Who's kind of lost in the shuffle here? Who needs a fresh start? To me, I think maybe Gallows and Anderson need to go to SmackDown. Rejoin AJ Styles and maybe some type of combination of the Bullet Club. Or AJ Styles come to Raw. Because Gallows and Anderson, it seems like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Nia Jax, again, really getting no reaction. Is she a face now? We'll see. Maybe SmackDown will do her some good. But if you think about it, in SmackDown, who does she really have? That are, Mickie James. Okay, I don't know. I just don't see it. Maybe Sami Zayn going to SmackDown. Some opponents there. Maybe he could feud with Dolph Ziggler, who seems to be just, floundering, just there. Dean Ambrose maybe needs a new, fresh start as well. That match that he had against Baron Corbin I didn't like it at all. Last thing I'll leave you with, good to see Kurt Angle, the GM. He's comedy gold, man. Just the interactions that he had backstage, like Enzo and Cass and soft. That's not how you spell soft. I mean, he's Kurt Angle's quick-witted, and I think this position as a GM will serve him very, very good. So just some of my thoughts from Raw. Hope this all made sense to you. Until next time, adios, over and out.